And we look like we are live. Hello, 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 and welcome to 2026. Yes, indeed, we are at 2026 already. So, hello there, my lovely. Welcome to my channel. My name is Debbie Carberry. I am a relationship coach and therapist. Welcome to 2026. Whether you are folding the laundry, wrangling your children, or you are having a really difficult time after December has come to an end, you are in the right place. This space is for you in the difficult moments, the devastating moments, and the moments where you just need companionship and connection with other people to help you get through what you're going through. Welcome to my table. Nothing is off limits here as long as we're respectful. I know you are very, very busy. And probably juggling a million things. But for the next 10 seconds, what I want you to do is focus on yourself. I have decided in 2026 that I will be doing 2 YouTube lives. One will be on a Monday morning, my time at 11 a.m. This is the new time for my beautiful friends who are across in the USA and Canada. And I will also be doing a live the alternate week at the usual time of 8:30 a.m. my time on a Thursday. So I just wanted to cover the globe a bit more evenly than I'm currently doing it. So if you are new here, say hello to me in the comments. Let me know how you're going. Let me know where you're from. It's always nice to know. And let's get started. So I know you're busy, like I said, juggling lots of things. January has a lot of pressure with it. So today we're going to focus on letting go of 2025 and having our head in the right spot for 2026. So for the next 10 seconds, let's take some deep breaths in and hold it and out. Couple of deep breaths, ladies. Let's do it again. And out. And I want you to check in with yourself and give yourself a number between 0 and 10 to just see where you're sitting in life right now. 0, life is challenging. 10, things are sweet. So please let me know in the comments where you're sitting. Are you somewhere in between? January is a very challenging month of the year because there's a lot of pressure to set goals and push forward and do all the things. So we're going to deal with that today. And I would love you to know, I'd love to know in the comments where you're at, 0 to 10. So, Carol, 5 out of 10, middle, there's nothing wrong with that, is there? 5 out of 10 is perfectly good, in my opinion. Sometimes during the day it changes, sometimes during the week it changes. But knowing where you're sitting helps you find a baseline of what is normal for you. And who knows what normal is, really. But whatever's normal for you. So let's start with a reflection on 2025, shall we? I don't know about you, but it was a bouncy year for me. I find writing this stuff down really helpful. What was hard in 2025 for you? Maybe your relationship ended. Maybe you had problems with your kids. Maybe your partner had an affair. Maybe you were coming through that first 12 months of separation. Maybe you were alone for the first time. What was really difficult for you in 2025? What did it take out of you? When you're reflecting back on how you got through last year, what was the price you paid during that turbulent, difficult, challenging, wonky kind of year? And while you're thinking about what it took away from you, thinking about what stuff carried you through. So what stuff helped you to get through last year? And let me know in the comments if you'd like to share some of the stuff that helped you get through last year. And very important, what did you learn about yourself? For me, and this is every year, I learned that I am actually stronger than I think. I learned that I can cope with way more than I think I can, and that growth is constant. So, I'm 60 now. I turned 60 in December, and I'm really understanding and learning that for every new challenge that comes up in my life, I have extra strength inside of me. I find parts of myself that I never knew existed, and they help me get through some of the tough times. For those who know me and understand what's going on in my life, so my members know that, some of you are here, that last year was about me sitting with other people's health issues, people I love and care about who were struggling with health issues. And that was a lot last year. And I learned to let go of it and to lean into what was going on and to be able to be supportive to those people. So I ask you to do a bit of that reflecting and thinking about 2025. So self-soothing that carries you through, that's really good. It's nice to have something. I think self-soothing is something we all need to learn, something we all need to actually implement in our lives, not just learn it, but implement it also. And I think it is a valuable tool for managing when life throws all sorts of things at us. If you're watching live, please do say hello in the comments. If you're coming back on the replay, you are welcome to comment in the description of this post. So please do let me know how you're going, answer some of the questions if you'd like to. If you've got questions for me, let me know. I want to remind you that it isn't about gratitude spinning, you know what I mean? It isn't about looking back and ignoring the difficult parts, although gratitude is really important. But it is about looking back and understanding and learning and reflecting. And I find that to be an incredibly helpful tool as I move forward. You know, when I'm reflecting on the year that has been, and I have a whole structure for that. I actually ran 2 workshops over December and January, called Reflections and Projections, where I guide women through the process of looking back and dealing with the historic stuff, so that as you move into the next year, 2026 in this case, you really have a clear plan laid out for how you want to be in that space. So, you know, when I look back, I think about, you know, what am I proud of? What did I do? You know, did I survive something? Did I do something well? Did I push through when I didn't think I could? Now, which moments mattered to me, and what surprised me last year were the things that mattered were actually the quiet moments, the solitude, the time to just go a bit slower and take it a bit easier. And what helped me, and I talked to this with my members in recent calls, you know, the community around me who helps me stay standing sometimes when life is hard, women who really understand and get me, women who really are on a similar path to me. They also want to be having a life that is more abundant and joyful, in spite of what the world is throwing at them at any given time. So if you want to share anything in the comments, please do go ahead and do that. I guess when I've done reflecting, when I've looked back, because we can't change anything, right, from our history, we can only look at it and learn from it and reflect from it. The next thing for me is to shift into the new year, you know, and remind myself in January, particularly because there's so much pressure to be on top of it. There's so much pressure to set goals and get in there and do it all. And I think we set ourselves up for failure often. You know, the first 2 weeks of January, so many people are setting New Year's resolutions, and by the 3rd week of January, most of them have fallen by the wayside. That isn't how I work with women. I want to encourage women to feel empowered by setting tiny little achievable goals, so that when they reach their goals, they feel more empowered to set bigger goals. And so with that, you know, I think it's really important when you're setting your goals to remind yourself, you know, that you're not behind, and you're not starting over, but you are being intentional and setting a direction. You are choosing how you want to move into this new year and how you want to move forward in this new year. And maybe you are cleaning up some of the mess of last year. Maybe you're still going through separation. Maybe you have not finished court filings. Maybe your kids are really struggling if they're, you know, young kids, or maybe older kids who are taking sides. Maybe you're going through a midlife transition, and that is piled on top of everything else. And of course, there's global matters that are very distressing for many people. So as you move into the new year, I encourage you to think in tiny bite-sized pieces rather than trying to chomp the head off of something. Take tiny little nibbles. You know, I think, and I said to my members, you know, I choose 4 goals for the year ahead, 1 for each quarter. I don't set hundreds of goals. And for me, one of the goals for last year was to be really healthful as I moved into my 60th year on this earthly plane, and my, you know, my new decade, not just a new year, but a new decade. And to be healthful, which means, you know, in midlife for me, it means, you know, taking care of my hormones, making sure I'm eating well, taking care of my gut and making sure that my gut is really healthy, so that I'm not getting sick, and I do feel strong. We know that gut health is a very important part of mental health. Taking care of the things that matter to me, like my gorgeous garden that gives me delicious food that I can cook and share with people, which I did a lot of over Christmas. So setting one goal for each quarter, one every 3 months is a ton of goals. If you don't know where you want to head with goals, let me know. We can talk about it in the live chats. Choose one goal, but in one area of your life. It might be health, it might be finance, it might be social, it might be emotional, it could be any specific area of your life that you want to focus on and improve that area of your life. And take it easy. Don't go crazy when you're doing it. Make it real, attach it to something that really matters to you. In this day, with what I'm being handed, I talked to my members yesterday about this open-handed stance of accepting what comes in the present moment, rather than clinging on to what you want and what you think you should have or what you should receive or what you deserve, and open your hands up to, well, this is what's coming down today. And whether I like it or not, it's what I've got. So how do I be with that? So I can be open to all the good, bad, and everything in between, and really live in my moment and really be in my moment. And that is the most joyful, easeful, calming space, in my opinion, because that's where the power is, right? You can't change history. You can't do anything about the future. You can be in your present moment. And in that moment, with your hands wide open, you can hopefully deal with what's coming up. So where do the goals that you have sit right now? Maybe it's a new routine that you want to have. I'm working on that this year. Or, instead of, when life calms down, I'm going to, when I have more time, I'm going to, when I get the energy, I'm going to, it's about how do I add this to what I have? Not piling stuff on a plate that is already too full, but making space for things that are really important. For me, health and well-being is massively important because of my age. Number one, I have some arthritis in my foot and my hands. Number two, I know my gut health really impacts my mental health. So that is a very important thing for me. And as I age, my weight and being, postmenopausal, those things matter. So I focus on health and well-being heavily now because I know that those things really impact the quality of my life. So for me, they are really, really important things. So what do I do to feed into those things? For me, I try and eat from my garden. I try and eat clean as I can, but I love treats and I don't deny myself anything. And in addition to that, I move this body of mine in ways that are really important. Flexibility is important to me now more than ever. Bone density is important to me now more than ever. And so those things I really, really look at when I think about health and well-being. And I lost weight last year. I lost 17 kilos in a very short period of time because I'm a bit like that in the way that I do my world. But it was intentional. I didn't want to get into my 60th year carrying all that excess waste from my postmenopausal experience. And so it was important for me to do that in a really healthful way, in a really scientific way. And I did that naturally, but scientifically. And if anybody wants to know about what I did, you're more than welcome to ask me in the question section. So if you're new here, welcome. Please do say hello in the comments. You're more than welcome to ask me questions. I'm here to talk about 2026 right now, but you can ask me questions about anything in these live calls. Say where you're from in the world if you would like to. As this is YouTube, it is new to me. When I say new, I've been doing this for less than a year on YouTube, but decades and decades working with women who are going through life transitions and who are going through relationship breakdowns, trying to help and support them as they work their way through that and they discover the life that they really want to have in this new circumstance they're in. So do say hello to me, hit the subscribe button, that is always helpful for me. The notification bell will tell you when I'm coming live. I come live once a week to answer your questions, and it will also notify you when I do my videos. I do 2 videos a week that come onto the channel about anything to do with all of the things I just talked about. If you're over 40 and you're a woman, you will find that I talk about most things to do with your life. So you're welcome here always. And of course, you're welcome to comment, like, hype my videos, because that helps me get them out to more people. And of course, engage with me. That is the most important part of this community, is me assisting you if you have things that you are struggling with. I think what's important this year also is about really looking at defining what is the minimum that you are willing to do. What's the smallest version that still counts? And I said to my members yesterday, I did something on YouTube, which was not perfect. And what I had said was, hey, done is better than perfect. And that is my motto for this year. It's like, I don't have to do it perfectly. I just need to show up. And that's all I really need to do. And that feels good enough to me. Planning for the days when we're not really feeling it, planning for the days when it's more difficult, planning for the days when we just go, I don't want to do it. But planning for that and saying, okay, done is better than perfect. And that's okay. It's really okay. Hi from the Gold Coast, Australia. Hey, Kate, nice to see you, darling. It's really, really good to see you. Again, I know who you are, I think. It's nice to see you, my love. And being mindful when you're planning for this year, you know, what you're focusing on for this quarter. And knowing that relief lives here, that we don't have to go 1,000 miles an hour at something and then think we failed and give up. Bite-sized pieces really matter. What I recommended to my members, and something that I do every single year, is I select 3 words that really resonate for me and are kind of my guideposts for the year ahead. And I really strongly suggest that to you, that you sit down and you think, you know, what words would guide my goals this year? What words would guide my life this year and would help me? I like the new photo. Thank you, Lost Jandel. I'm glad that you like the new photo. I played with it. I'm trying to play with things on YouTube at the minute and be a bit more creative, because I like that in my life. So this year is about being a bit more creative. So finally, on the goals front, the goals are not a test. They're not a test around whether you did it good enough or not. The goals are just containers. They're just these things where we go, this is kind of what I'm looking at. They're not about a measurement of success, so you're never behind. And they're about choosing what to focus on. What's important to you? If this kind of live chat is helpful to you, please stay connected, hit the bell button, and come back to the weekly lives. Like I said, I'm now doing one which is designed for my friends in the United States and Canada, and the second one is for my friends in the UK and that side of the world in Europe, and of course for my Aussie friends where I am based. If you can fit into either of those, that's always good. So that is my plan. Now, if you have a question for me, please pop it into the comments. Just put a Q at the beginning so I know it's a question. If you're coming after this has gone live, you can still put questions in there for me and I'll try to answer them. I do my best to do that. On the new photo of me, part of one of my goals this year is to be more creative, and creativity can be challenging when you're busy trying to build up a YouTube channel, trust me. And I'm learning so many new things like editing and, you know, doing things like thumbnails, things that are very new to me. So I played around this week with how could I make something different. So my picture with my red specs on, because anybody who knows me well knows I love my red spectacles. I've got a couple of pairs of red glasses. And so I thought, how cute, I'll do my black and white, which I normally do with my red specs on. So thank you for that. If anybody has any questions for me, pop them into the comments now. If you don't, that's okay. I stay live for a little bit to answer your questions. If there are no questions, then of course I don't just sit around chopping away at nothing. But if you do have questions for me, I'm more than happy to answer them. They don't have to be about what I've talked about today. They can be about separation, about affairs, about midlife. They can be about estrangement from your children. They can be about work and finances, pretty much anything. I am a qualified, a university trained therapist. I work online as a relationship coach and mentor to women around all sorts of things. So if you are looking to ask a question, please do go ahead and ask them now. What do I think of new year, new me? Well, it depends what the context is. I think new year, different version of me. I don't think it's definitely a new me. Do you know what I mean? Do I want to be a new person? I think, you know, for me, 60 years on this earthly plane, I don't want to be a new me, but maybe I want to incorporate different things. You know, my life has changed at 60 to what it was when I was 30. So when I was 30, I was starting to have a family, and I had, you know, through my 30s, 40s, younger kids, and 4 kids that I was busy, and I was doing a lot of parenting and working. I worked part-time and then later did more hours as the kids went to high school. But in my 50s, that started to shift a bit. And so my focus, my kids needed me to do more running around than they needed me for emotional support, because they chose their peers, as many young children do. As I moved through my 50s, wrangling adult kids and understanding my changed role in their lives, and that took a fair bit of adjustment, actually. And then into really stepping back from my kids' lives and having my empty nest and reevaluating, where do I go from here? Who am I now? Do I like who I am? Do I know who I am? For many women, there's that vacuum, especially after relationships end, where we can sit in our midlife or 50s and 60s and go, I haven't the first clue who I am, what I like, what's important to me. I don't have the first clue about that, because I've spent decades taking care of other people and other people's needs, and so we can get lost. So I think New Year, New Me is intriguing for me personally. I don't want a new me, but I'm obviously a different version of me for sure. What's wrong with me that I want a new me? I don't want that. I don't want to feel like I have to erase all of me. I want to look at what works and what doesn't as I look into 2026. What do I need more of? What do I need less of? How do I want to change aspects of myself? How do I want those to evolve? I told my members, I've been listening, there's a lot online about let them, and I bought myself a t-shirt with let them on this year, because I want to embody let them. I don't just want to say let them, and what that means for me when I look at let them for me. What that means for me is that people do whatever the fuck they like. That, I swear, for those who don't know, but they do whatever they want, and they're happy to do that. My job is not to tie myself into a pretzel to meet people's needs, and not to judge myself, my value, my worth, my lovability based on whether someone likes me or doesn't, whether that's a child of mine, a partner, neighbors, friends, colleagues, relatives, extended family. It's none of my damn business what they think about me. You know what I mean? And I really am learning to embody that people can choose to do whatever they want. My job is to love myself. My job is to take care of myself and to remind myself that it's not personal most of the time. People have stuff going on. They've got their own stuff they're working through. And so it's okay for me to remind myself, hey, Debbie, you don't have to fix this or be different. You can just be yourself. And that's really important to me. So when I look at myself this year, that's part of what I want to embody. I want to embody not letting other people's opinion of me make me feel less than, or taking it too personally. So I look at that this year. New me this year is about really looking at how I really, really take care of this gorgeous body of mine, moving this body of mine, making sure that I look after it. For my birthday, I was given lots of, I got a hand massager, a foot massager, and a back massager. And I'm like, these are daily things for me as I get a little arthritis in one of my feet and both of my hands, which are feeling much better from the massager, which I'm so grateful for. And using supplements to manage that, but also looking at the food that I intake to reduce inflammation in my body. I'm growing more food so I know where it's come from, because food's friggin' expensive right now, and being able to grow some of my food and share that with people who I love and care about. So, and I love cooking, of course, so being able to grow it and cook it is really exciting, and preserve it, of course. So yeah, I love the answer. Thank you. It's given me perspective. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you, Miss Carol. Right. Has anybody got any questions they want to ask? Please don't be shy. You can, if you're uncomfortable on YouTube about asking a question, you can ask a question. There's some little dots there. And once you've asked it, you can just delete it. And I only use your first name usually when I answer. Please know that YouTube is quite a private enterprise. Here, we don't have our family and friends just seeing it on our feed. So there's no people seeing our stuff on our feed like you get in Instagram and Facebook. So on here, people have to come to this specific video and oftentimes can't see the comments anyway, but and they're not paying any attention to comments. They have to switch them on, I think, but they will not generally see them. So if you're uncomfortable for privacy reasons, please know you can ask your question and then just hit the dots and remove the question when you finish. I only use your first name so that you can keep it private if you like. glad to. Hello, Kathy. How you doing, darling? Nice to see you. Sarah, my love, was wondering if you could tell me what the massages and where you bought them, looking to get myself. And I will do that in our membership. I'm not doing that on YouTube just yet for lots of reasons, but I'm more than happy to tell you in our coaching call, my darling. So if you want, you can let me, you can contact me in the membership and I will definitely let you know. I never, ever, ever recommend anything to anybody unless I have really investigated it myself and I'm comfortable with it. I've looked at all the reviews external to myself and seen what the reviews said, because I don't want to ever recommend anything that, you know, ethically, I would like to only recommend what I believe is really good for you. But the stuff that I got has really helped with the neuropathy and it's really helped with the arthritis as well. Like that's my early morning, very, very arthritic hand these days. Well, I say very, very, it's probably not very arthritic to most people, people who really have chronic arthritis, but that's the one that really hurts. And that's, you know, it's morning here and it's moving really well. This one's not anywhere near as tense as this one, and same with my foot, but I'm more than welcome, more than happy to mention that privately in the membership. For those who don't know, I do have a membership. I also have a store. If you are interested in purchasing things from me, my store is fairly new and it's not fully uploaded yet, but the store is at the top of my YouTube channel. If you are looking for anything, please let me know. Like I said, I haven't uploaded everything yet. This is a slow process for me. I also offer one-on-one sessions if you want to have a chat, and we will be adding more to YouTube this year to support people who would like additional support throughout this year and ongoing, if people are really wanting ongoing support. Andrea, my darling, how do you handle an ex-narcissist in a lawsuit? My filings since he owes me money. I have a lot of documentation. He is telling everyone that I was toxic. First of all, I am not a lawyer, so that is the first point that I will make to you. I think when we handle anybody, and it is difficult, and we are trying to go through it. First of all, I would get legal advice. That is the first thing I would do. But also, I think with anybody who we find toxic, narcissistic, whatever you want to call them, somebody we are struggling to be around and manage. And in the case of, you know, if you have an ex that you are leaving and you have no choice but to engage with them in the process post-separation, then what we need to do is have incredibly good boundaries. Incredibly good boundaries. So the first thing we do is we set solid boundaries about what is important. I'm going to be talking about boundaries in the coming weeks. I've actually got some videos coming up about boundaries. Setting boundaries around, okay, where's the line for me? You know, when we're dealing with court filings, sometimes having a midpoint person to manage things like a lawyer or a mediator who can actually assist you in that process is really, really important. If you have lots of documentation and you're going through court proceedings, your lawyer will deal with that for you. Being able to, you know, instead of having face-to-face conversations that can cause a lot of distress, using things like text messages or using things like emails. Emails are even better because you can manage when you look at them, and the exchange between the two of you is then listed and really clear to see. So I think what's really important when you're dealing with people who are very challenging to deal with is to make sure you have solid boundaries. And a boundary is, this is how I expect to be treated. And if you choose not to treat me that way, which people do, by the way, people do choose to ignore our boundaries, what are the consequences? And it might be we negotiate with each other, but if you can't respect the boundaries, which are you can't be disrespectful to me, you can't name call, if you gaslight me, I'm going to make choices around that. And then we have a consequence, which might be I'm going to employ a mediator to work between us. I'm not going to receive anything directly from you. I'm going to work through a mediator, and the mediator will receive the information and forward to me only what I need to know. Or if you can't afford a mediator, a really solid friend or family member who they can go through. So there are lots of things you can do, but it's about sticking to the boundary. Here's the thing. If you have a boundary with somebody and you just collapse that boundary, they go and step on the boundary, and you don't follow up with the consequence, then you teach them that it's okay to not adhere to the boundary, that there's no consequence. They can ignore you, they can do what they want, and they probably will. So it's just really important when you set a boundary to, number one, you personally know what the boundary is. You know whether you're going to share it or not with the other person. You don't have to share the boundary with them. You can keep it to yourself, but know that the boundary is there. And then if and when they cross that boundary, what is the consequence that will happen if they cross the boundary? What are you going to do? And you need to know that before you try and implement a boundary. Otherwise, it's a hot mess. It can really be a hot mess, because then we're teaching the other person that it doesn't matter what we say. In the end, we will let them get away with just about anything. So it's just really important to know very clearly what you plan to do. All right, are there any more questions at all this morning? I will be back next week. I will be at my UK time next week, which is Thursday, my Thursday at 8:30 a.m. So if you're wanting to join me next week, the time is different next week to this week. Best way to stay ahead of when I am doing lives is to make sure you hit the notification bell on the channel. It will tell you when my videos come out. It will also tell you when I'm going live. So that's the best way to stay in touch. You are more than welcome to put questions in the comments of these videos once they are finished. I try and check all the questions, all the comments. I'm doing well at the moment, but we'll see how we go in the future. But I'll try my very best to look at and answer as many questions as possible. I really encourage you, if you have a question for me, like I said, I am a university trained therapist. I am a relationship coach online. I don't do therapy in these live calls, but I will certainly give you some solid advice based on my expertise around things midlife, post-separation, going through separation, affairs, adult children and estrangement, anything really. I have been doing this for over 2 decades. So if you have questions, I will always attempt to answer them. I can't give legal advice. I am not a lawyer. I'm not a doctor, but I can talk from my own experience in relation to health and well-being and using what we have in our homes to help us have the best mental health possible, how to take good care of ourselves, how to be the best version of yourself, how to love yourself deeply, which always changes everything in my opinion. When we can love ourselves deeply, the world is a better place and life is much easier for us. If you have a question for me, quickly pop it into the comments and then I'm going to wrap up for today. Like I said, I'll be here next week. I'm going to be doing my UK time next week. I would love to see you if you'd like to come along. This week I've got some videos, 2 videos coming out. So my videos come out on a Tuesday my time and on a Friday my time. My poetry comes out on a Sunday, but not all Sundays, depending on the way things are going. So I do have a lot of poetry about my life and the struggles and overcoming the struggles, and my viewpoint from listening to women from around the world explain some of the stuff they're going through. So if you're wanting to listen to something creative, the videos with my poetry are on my channel. I try and also put everything into playlists for you. So if you are looking for something specific, whether it is how to heal after heartbreak, how to manage a divorce, how to deal with the first 12 months after separation, how to deal with midlife issues, I am building up the library here on YouTube so that you can go and find those things. Currently there are 2 playlists there and I am building further playlists for you. So if you are looking for something, let me know. And if you want me to ask a question, I do a section called Your Question, My Take, and there's a little library of those that you can find in a playlist if you are looking for those. Thank you, Miss Carol. I appreciate your fabulous heartfelt poems. They really are from my heart. And I can usually tell if they're good because people say, gosh, that made me cry, Debbie. And I'm like, yep, that's exactly what was the plan there. It was from my heart, which was usually in a place at the time that I wrote what I wrote. And I speak them on a video with usually some music behind them. And they can be very, very soothing, I find. So yeah, you're welcome to have a look at those too. I eventually will get that into a poetry book. and that will be published on my store for people to buy if they would like to, but not yet. It's not big enough yet. So, my darlings, it looks like there are no more questions. Thank you so much for joining me today. To those of you who are new, thank you so much, and you are welcome here anytime you like. For those who are coming back, thank you for joining me again. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I hope that you take care of yourself and do all that you need to do as you begin 2026 to be the very best version of who you are. And until next time, I'll see you very, very soon, my lovelies. Take care and goodbye. It's this side, Debbie. Try and put my love heart where you can see it best. There you go. All right, everybody, take care. See you next time. Bye, everyone.